this is a non-local event. This is an event that is taking place in this galaxy, which we are part of. And what a blessing that we have the ability to be in a free choice universe where we can make our record by choosing which way we'll go. I choose to love myself. I'm going that way. What about you?
Choosing life.
It's over here.
So I'll see you on that path.
Yeah, so.
We are at the moment in a cycle of life where everybody, if you're just a little bit aware, you can feel something is shifting. It is my perspective. There will come the time, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation is going to take place, a natural separation. The ones that are able to read the signs, that are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. They will move on to another area, to another cycle of us humans being right now here on the earth. And other people that are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes. It is simple like this. They will stay with the old world, which is about to end.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. We're happy to have you today. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun, and we will be talking about the timeline shift today. But before we begin, Tarvars, will you call for the truth?
Well, certainly. And we encourage those who are joining us to join us in the Call for the Truth. Should we call for the frequency of truth to come forth? Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Should we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Should we call to speak the truth? Should we have the courage to speak the truth in all things? So we are here, Call for the Truth.
Yes.
And today we're talking about the timeline shift.
Yes.
So we got to get down into the nitty-gritty, as they say, about timeline, because I can see that there are many people, both spiritually astute and, let's say, the layman, the everyday third-dimensional person, who are noticing something's different. There's many people in the spiritual community who speaks about this idea of a timeline split or a splitting of trajectories for humanity. But then we also hear, like, everyday people, like, something's up, I don't know what it is, but I feel it, something ain't right, something's about to happen. So let's explore this. Where do we even start with this idea of the timeline?
I would encourage everyone to recognize that not only are you individually bigger than you think you are you an eternal being that has existed and will continue to exist beyond this lifetime, but to recognize that we are in a galactic incident. We are in the middle of a galactic event that is greater than Earth, and it's greater than our individual experience, and it's greater than climate change. And we are in the middle of a 25,000 year shift that is the Kali Yuga that we have heard about, that it's written about in ancient texts, that is well known, that there's a shift in the universe, in the galactic pattern. There's a cyclical cycle that we have gone through before in previous times of Earth that we are going through now. And it is being hijacked by those who are aware of it, and many nations and many intuitives and many who are in the esoteric world are familiar with the idea that there are these shifts and they have been written about, and we are in the middle of one, and it's a real thing. And so everything has the possibility of shifting and changing, including our timeline. We at Of the Sun have worked diligently for decades to affect this change in the favor of the human on this planet. And so we are happy and victorious that opportunities for the elevation and the ascension of humanity are here and that we have contributed to it. So it's important that we know what this is and why it exists. And there are many players. So I'm not sure if I answered your question.
I think that's a nice foundation. Based on some of my knowledge about it, I'll share and if you expound a little further. So we understand that it's splitting. And so what's the necessity? Why do we need to split? Like what's happening between the two timelines if you go a little deeper into that idea?
And this is so important, and so much of this is intuitive if we think about it from the larger perspective, that the things that we have seen in recent modern history, starting 70, 80 years back, are great indicators of what was already in existence for many millennia, to move and cultivate and herd humans into certain behaviors. So through all of history, we can see through colonization and the many different things that happen, that there's a greater hand moving the forces, that there's this hidden hand shaking the box. And everybody could live together, but then they come in and shake the box and everybody starts fighting. So we can see that through all of history. That has not changed, but in the recent time, there has been an acceleration. And the technology has also helped accelerate the process. So the idea is that if we do live in a free choice universe, meaning that it is law that what we call for, we will get. So those who have been cultivated and into a way of wanting life that destroys life. They want to do drugs until they die. They want to drink until they have cirrhosis of the liver. They want to, have sex until they have venereal diseases. There's no discipline. There's no stops. We eat until we kill ourselves. These are all things that we have been cultivated towards. This is not the natural state of humanity. So these things have been moved. So one timeline will be for those who would like to be part machine, those who would like to have all of the laws kind of moved into one thing instead of being distinctly different things. This kind of energy has produced its own outcome. And so humanity is careening down a path to that direction. And it is law that you must have what you call for. So if we are vibrating every essence of our being, that we must, worship at the altar of money, we must have everything that's fake, nothing that's real is good enough, we're not interested in nature. All of these things are in the pot, and that likelihood will happen. And then there are those who don't agree with that. There are those who would like to eat clean food, who would like to have a relationship with Mother Earth, who would like to speak to fauna and flora, who would like to bring wholesomeness back into our reality, those who would like to be in accord with how what creation and source gave us. And we don't think that, it's like we have the colors in nature and then we have Crayola. So we have those. There are those who prefer the intelligence of the natural systems that have spanned the test of time through creation. And then there are those who would prefer the man-made experience. So everyone gets what they want. The two timelines represent that. So one line, we're all moving together. And at this point, so many things have happened, and the situation in the galactic network is such that we have moved to the full cycle that we are in, and the opportunity, because some of us have actively, and we are of the sun, are part of that, actively called for another form of existence. So enough on the planet have done so that now there's an opportunity. And then those who are still moving down the path of what we all see as our where we're going based on what's happening with our food, fake hair, fake bodies, fake relationships, fake gender, all of these things are moving in that direction. And they get to have that. So the timeline split is that.
Yeah.
Is that understandable?
Yeah, I think so. And for the people who are watching, drop in the comments if it is landing. Maybe put a little airplane emoji or a sun, or just let us know it's landing. Because this is a broad topic, but at the same time, it's grounded in the truth of our reality. Many of the examples that you gave, which to really ground it even deeper, you were saying that there are people who, and I'm paraphrasing, who are leaning more towards wanting to grow their own food, people who want to eat properly, where they're recognizing that what's been provided or presented to us are chemicals and GMO foods, things that are poisoning us, and they're pivoting, choosing, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So that's one indicator of like these of different people at various levels and degrees choosing to go in a different direction, or how deeply a person engages with AI technology, into the metaverse and things like that, where, but there are people who want to, and these type of things are indicative of choosing life or the idea of anti-life. Does that sound accurate?
It's so clear that if we don't protect our children, if we don't protect what we eat, and we have food now that is being made from unborn fetuses, it makes us cannibals. We're being cultivated into cannibalism.
I don't know if the people know this, but this is a factual thing. There were some articles on Pepsi where they got taken to court because they were working with some subsidiary company that was inserting aborted fetuses, and they had to remove it from their product. This is the thing.
So this is all cultivation, and this has happened in the recent decades. It didn't just happen, but it's happening in fake meat, it's happening in many things. It's a matter of course. They have names that make it obscure it, but it is what's happening. That is not a destiny that humanity will exist in. If we don't protect our children, and if we're cultivated to be lawless, we're cultivated to devour one another, and we're cultivated to allow our world to be trashed the way it has been trashed, with the plastic in the water, all the things that we all know about. That end is where the timeline is going. That is the main timeline that we are all on. The split that is now taking place takes us to another timeline, where it's not so much that everybody has to be a farmer or that anyone is anti-technology. It's just that what will sustain life, what has proven to sustain the universe, the galaxy, and the greater experience that we exist in, the intelligence, the center intelligence that operates within that process, some of us are choosing that instead of what the latest scientists are saying.
Yes, this is great. I'd like to take it a little further, but before I do, I feel like you answered the why in your previous statement. You gave us a lot of detail on the necessity of why we need to choose, or why this is even happening. And to take it a step further, this idea of how can people identify in their lives whether or not they're on that trajectory, of the split for choosing life, or they're not. Because here at LaOta Sun, we have calibration techniques where we can check in with our guidance, literally calibrate the number of the percentage of how much of us is in alignment in the pursuit of life or not, or with anti-life. But not everybody has this. Even though we're all capable, we don't have it yet. So what would be some indicators or different ways, which I think you explained some of them, but I'd like to explore it a little more.
I think this is an excellent question. We are blessed to be in a situation where we can calibrate the truth of anything to the third decimal point. That's a wonderful blessing. This is something that we teach and that we are all about. But even if you can't, if we recognize that everything eats, everything, every human, every dog, every plant, everything eats, and everything is eating and then feeding into the field. So the idea of it is the thing that you put on yourself when you shower in the morning. Is that feeding life? Is that contaminating the water? Is that feeding the body? Is it not feeding the body? Is that extending your life? Or is that making you smell good and then thinning the walls of your colon so parasites can get through to your brain? You know, it's like, do we know this is the information is out there? Are we making choices when we stand in the store? Will this support life, or does this support something that is popular right now that everyone else is doing? Does this drink have 17, this pop or this soda drink have 17 teaspoons of sugar? Does this support my life? Does refined food, does processed food, does ultra processed food, does being with someone who thinks my value has something to do with what I'm wearing or how much money I make? Does that support life in this universe, on this planet, in this galaxy? Is where does that support life? You know, like, show me, where does that support life? Like, ask yourself these questions, like, am I in a relationship where I am not valued? Does that support life? Is it supportive of life that when you speak to a child, or you speak to your animal, or you speak to yourself, are you supporting yourself? Are you looking in the mirror and thinking, what is wrong with the way I look? I need to go have plastic surgery. I need to go buy a wig. I need to shave my head. I need to make sure that I get my nose fixed. How brutal are we being with ourselves? Mm-hmm. And then if we are that way with ourselves, how are we with others? How is it that we could treat ourselves that way and then love anyone else?
It's not possible.
So the whole idea of, are you choosing life when you're so distraught and so unhappy with the creation that you are? How do you feel about your parents? How do you feel about your siblings? How do you feel about your lover? How do you feel if you don't have a lover? Are you feeling like someone should come and make sure that they're doing enough for you? You know, are you prepared to tell someone that they should do for you what you will not do for yourself? You won't love yourself, but they should do it instead. Like, you love me because I'm busy. I don't have time to love me, but I would like for you to take me.
Ridiculous. Like, it was already out of order, but putting it that way,
it's like,
laughing.
But that is the reality of many, and I know
Yes,
that because I'm in appointments with people all day long, and when people have attached themselves to identities and ideas and sitcoms and fairy tales, and then want someone else to do it, we must see our responsibility for beings on the planet to support the planet, which then supports the solar system, which then supports the galaxy. This is not a local event. Much of the work that we do in Of the Sun is non-local. Yeah. This is a non-local event. This is an event that is taking place in this galaxy, which we are part of. And what a blessing that we have the ability to be in a free choice universe where we can make our record by choosing which way we'll go. I choose to love myself. I'm going that way. What about you?
Choosing life.
It's over here.
So I'll see you on that path.
Yeah, so that's the idea of, this is really quite fundamental. This, how are we able to treat ourselves and then treat each other? If we are willing to kill and cannibalize ourselves, then we're willing to do that to the planet and to the others around us. That already takes us to a finite place. That is not a sustainable model. So the shift gives us an alternate or a sustainable outcome. As eternal beings, this is very important, because even though you cannot destroy energy, and even though all of us will expire, no one will live forever. We all know there's life after death. There's the hereafter. That's written in all of the religious texts. So what happens if we choose a path of death and we continue in the reincarnational cycle? If you believe in that, or you just believe you exist forever because it's proven that you can't destroy energy, are you manifesting your next move by whatever your choices are? So you hate yourself, you hate everyone around you, and so you're showing this by how you don't take care of the environment, how you don't take care of or don't love yourself. And then what would you expect your next manifestation to be? What have you focused on? Have you focused on things that will make your next manifestation one that's joyous? Vibration. We are a universal remedy of support, an ally infused with positive frequencies and biophotonic light particles, intended to return one to the greater whole of one's organic nature. Within our layered structure exists an opportunity for metamorphosis, prompting divine healing energies of light to awaken your original composition, that which has been irritated by inorganic substances through mental, emotional, and physical material. We are navigators, those who operate by way of your conscious thought and directive, exponentially moving to the physical areas of stuck emotion within the body that are in need of restoration. When engaged with us, we identify and mirror the called upon frequencies of lower vibratory notion for it to see itself in transmutation, while awakening that which is dormant to shift into the rectification of optimum balance and functionality. So there's that.
I think that speaks to the truth of you carry yourself everywhere you go. Our today is making our tomorrow. Our today is a byproduct of our past. And what we do today is informing the future. And again, it's not local. It's not limited to just this lifetime. It's
Or this planet.
Yeah.
It's not even just limited to this planet. Wherever you end up, you still have you with you.
Yeah, that's something to really think on. But I would say that all the different examples that you gave, I think are grounded. And for those who are listening, drop a comment if this is landing even more. A little plane emoji, a little sun emoji, or something. It's indicating that this idea is landing, because all the different examples are in the different compartments of life, whether it's your career, your relationships, romantic, family, your food lifestyle, and health and well-being, these type of choices, the environments we put ourselves in. Is it giving life? Am I thinking life? Am I choosing life? Is this action in alignment with life is something that we often ask. But looks like we have a question from the audience.
Yes.
So those who have chosen life and those around them haven't, how should someone deal with that? Like, you try to help those around you who are not choosing life. How do you deal with that?
This is a wonderful question. Would you repeat the question?
Yeah. So, is our camera lady? She says, for someone who is choosing life, who is finding themselves surrounded by those who are not choosing life, how does one navigate that? What are they to do? Do they try to corral and get everyone else on board, or do they just stick to their guns and focus on their outcome? What does one do in that situation? Because that's a reality for a lot of people.
It's a reality. It's actually even biblical. There'll be two people in the bed, one will go and one won't. There's a lot of information about this that can be understood in many, many ways. My guidance shared with me information on this, and I really felt it was satisfying, so I'll share it with you. I was told that I am not to carry anyone on my back. I'm not to carry the ones I love who I see are making other choices, but that I should remember that I could inspire them to, through my own actions, to join the timeline that will most serve them. And to add to that, I'd like to add that I have grown to understand that none of us have enough information about anyone else's path or their history in this lifetime or others to be in judgment. So when another person chooses an outcome or a lifestyle that you are not in agreement with, and you think it's terrible, you really are working with very little information. You don't know what that soul will need for them to have their eventual experience. The end of the equation is everyone is sins. Now, I don't know how many lifetimes into the future that will be, but the end of the equation is the universe is beneficent. So one way or another, whether you live through the chaos and the war and the things that you're moving towards, or whether you move on to a timeline where you may be able to inspire others from this dimension or the next. The reality is how grateful we should be to be in a place where we can see what our free will take us to. However, we are part of the all that exists. And it is really the will of the all that is most important, which is the direction of everything we see that's not man-made around us. All of nature, every star, every sun, every galaxy. That's the will of the all, to live. If you're moving towards something that is not life, then you're moving out of that sphere until you move into it, however long that takes. Is that understandable?
Yes.
Do you have a follow-up question for that?
Not a follow-up question, just another one. How did this all originate? What are the origins of this time anti-life or time?
Would you repeat the question?
And so she's asking, how did the timeline split originate? How did this come about? What are the origins of such a phenomenon or event?
So there's several places that could start. I could start at the point at which the intelligence that crafted the overlay on the timeline, or I could start at the point at which source and all that is created the cycles that we're going through. So both exist, and I've talked a little bit about the idea of the cyclical experience that our universe is in, and that we have demarcations of about 25,000 year cycles. Some say 20, some say 24. Yeah. But the idea that it is a cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this idea that we were in the darkness for a very long time, like over 20,000 years of darkness, and now we're moving into the light. So there is that idea, but there's also this idea that there are off-world anti-life intelligences that have seen the geometrics of our Earth geometry and have absconded with it and hijacked it and used it to their benefit to influence humanity so they would have influence over us. And that's what we see when we look at the Fibonacci spiral. That's what we see. It has influenced nature and humanity because humanity is nature as well. And this was an absconding with the geometry, overlaying it, gathering things from it, informing and kind of gathering its own power from the original creation codes. And that is what is being moved away now. The geometry that was overlaid is being moved away because creation can create new geometry. Creation is not limited to what was. Creation can be what is, it can be what's new, and so that's part of it. Is that understandable?
Yes.
So this idea of the intelligence of those who had ill intent, anti-life, really created this process, which we have been in for many millennia. And we are now moving into a time where we are moving out of the darkness, but only if we choose it. So, anything else?
No, I think this is a great space to leave off. We could always revisit it because this idea is current. It's happening. It's always unfolding. But let's call for the truth. Let's see what the cards have to say.
Yes. So these are the call for the truth cards. And we're going to ask Tarvars to pull a call for the truth card today and you'll come up with a question concerning either our topic or today's podcast. And we'll share that with you. And here are the cards.
Yeah, so it's connecting, harmonizing with the cards, asking you to share with us the truth that needs to be known as it relates to the timeline shift. The card is the theme of truth, and it's blue for throat chakra. The maxim is declare war on the enemy within you. Conquer your own mind. Let your battle cry be truth and victory. I'll read it once again. Truth. Declare war on the enemy within you. Conquer your own mind. Let your battle cry be truth and victory. I feel like that's what's needed to sustain oneself with the timeline shift. If you want to hop on this timeline of life, where there is a future for you, for humanity, where you're back in the I'm going to say the harmonization of the template that the all has created, all that is, we have to go to war with this. We have to go to war with what we've been indoctrinated with. You gave an example of how what people want in their relationships is what they've seen on movies and television, which was created and influenced by that dark hand in the background, orchestrating it, and so we look to that for the example where that's far from the reality, and of course that creates this disharmonious experiences and relationships, but being able to put down, identifying those types of things that, look, that's not the truth of our reality.
I love this card. I love what you have to say. It reminds me to say we are all hybrids for many millennia, for all of the many generations, for the thousands of our ancestors that have been influenced, just like the geometry that was hijacked, that was overlaid over all of the geometry. We are geometry. We are technology. We were overlaid with these same influences and these same patterns. However, they are not greater than us. Our clear will to not be that, to not be a hybrid of something that is against life. Our desire to be for life can be so. Thank you. We give you in Lakesh and Veritas oneness and truth with honor, respect, and gratitude, and we hope to see you next time.